All right, so thanks, Mark. Hope everybody can hear me well. I appreciate you sitting in on my hour of the webinar today. I know we've got a lot of new people here that are joining us today, and I appreciate you coming in and checking this out. I know we've got some webinar veterans here too. Um, in this hour of the webinar, I'm going to show some functions of the software based on the drag and drop gesture of your mouse. I'm going to go over drag and drop functions in 5 areas, or 4 rather, areas of the software. And so the goal here is to give you quicker and more convenient ways to manipulate the database and save you time. Some of these are going to be things that you've seen in previous sessions, some of you who've been on these webinars, and so they should give you a refresher course on some things that you've seen earlier. Some of the other things that I'm going to cover today, though, will be drag and drop functions that might be new to you and that you'll be able to take with you today and save yourself some time when you are maintaining your database. I think, in fact, a couple of these are going to be some mind blowers. So we're at least going to cover something in the schedule order that several of you may be interested to find out today. All right, so we're going to start with the schedule editor, and I'm going to open up a couple of screens here actually. We're going to start by going to the scheduler icon, and we're going to look at a day here. So I'm going to open up today's date and hit OK. And so that's going to bring up my schedule for the day. And you can choose this icon here at the top right-hand corner. And it's this icon here in the middle between the underscore and the X. And that's going to create a floating window for the schedule editor. And then I'm going to open up library maintenance. I'm going to open up a category here. And so when I double-click here, and that's going to open up my A category. And so I can sort of move these around and resize them, to get a good fit on my screen. So, right, the first thing that we'll look at is dragging a song from the library editor to the schedule editor. And it's very simple. So if I wanted to put in Britney Spears here at the top of the hour, then I can click on the blue pointer arrow here, and then I'm going to drag down into the schedule editor. So you've got 2 things that you're looking at here. One is the red box, or the red box line, and the other one is the single line. So if I were to drop this here, I'm in effect dropping it over the unscheduled A. If I drop it here where I've got the single red line, that's just going to drop it below Fallout Boy here, and then I'll have to attend to the unscheduled position. In this case, I'm just going to drop it across the unscheduled position and then put Britney Spears in and schedule her. I want to make a note here, though, that this does not affect your schedule order. So if I went in and manually scheduled the first few A's and then thought, okay, well, I've got Madonna here, and so the next one on my order is going to be Chris Brown, I'd really need to go and check the schedule order for that and make changes there so that when I do automatically schedule the rest of my A's throughout the day, I'll have a nice rotation there, and I won't have messed anything up by just putting in Britney Spears or a couple of records and then auto-schedule. So again, I'm going to unschedule my Madonna here, and then I'll show you again how to move that in. So you're just clicking the song, the blue pointer arrow for the song that you want, and dragging that in to the log. All right? So that's dragging a song from the library editor to the schedule editor. It does not affect schedule order. You can also do this with multiple songs. So if I wanted to maybe add some fill songs down at the bottom, then I could double-click on a category here. I've got a couple of songs that I can move in, and it's very similar. You're going to click on the blue pointer arrow field, and you want this nice blue line across. That's going to tell you that you've got the song selected. And then you'll choose the number of songs that you want to move in. In this case, we'll do Sierra at the bottom. And I'm holding the Shift key down on the keyboard and clicking into the blue pointer arrow field. So do you see how everything's sort of blued out there? that means that I've got it, I've got everything selected the way I want it. And then I can go down here to the bottom of my log. I've got about 15 minutes to spare here at 12 o'clock, and I can click and move this blue pointer arrow down to the bottom of the log. And so you've got the red box here, and then you've got the red line. So if I were to drop this here, it's going to put Timbaland where Maroon 5 was. Okay? If I drop it here, it's going to add those songs in at the bottom. All right. So that's going to add those songs in, and now I've got them down here at the bottom of my screen. And so you can move them around or delete them as you need to, but that's moving multiple songs in from the library maintenance screen to the schedule editor. Okay. And one of the reasons that you might do that is, maybe using fill songs at the end of the hour. Maybe you're going to create some sort of countdown, and you've got songs in a category that are appropriate for that, and you can move them in quickly and then drag and drop them throughout the hour, which I'll show you in just a second. The other way of doing it, or the other way of scheduling songs here by dragging and dropping, and I'm going to close the library maintenance screen for now and bring up the schedule editor, is to drag categories over from the info bar to the schedule editor. And so we're using the drag and drop function this way. We're coming over to the info bar, and so let's schedule a B down here at the bottom of the 1 o'clock hour under pink. So I'm going to move that into view a little bit better for me. And then if you want to bring a category over here, you can click the category and drag and drop. So I've got pink, and I can drop this and create an unscheduled B, or I can move it below and schedule another B below pink, and that's what I'll do. I'll just drop that. And what that's going to do is it's going to give me an unscheduled position down here at the bottom. And now I can choose F9, or I can double-click on the unscheduled position, and that's going to bring up my category here. And then I can choose the best available song and schedule that. So again, it's coming over here to the left-hand side in the info bar and dragging that record in, or dragging that category in, rather. I can drag it across this unscheduled fixed B now, and now I've got an unscheduled C. And then I can double-click and go into the replacement grid and schedule a song that way. Saved lists are very similar, and the drag and drop function is just as easy. Your song lists exist down here in the info bar. Okay, so if I was back up here at categories, then I've got my song list down here, and I can choose this button, and I've got a couple of song lists to choose from. And so it's the same drag and drop function. I can move this over, this saved song list, and I can drop it on top of my unscheduled C, or I can drop it after my unscheduled C. In this case, we'll look for that red box, and we'll drop it here. And so now MusicMaster is going to bring up my saved list. And so you may notice something here that's a little interesting. We've got the song rest column here, and typically when you go and replace a song, you're going to see the most rested song at the top. When you double-click on an unscheduled position, MusicMaster is going to sort by song rest. And so you may be wondering why that's not happening right now, and that's because this is a saved list. And so I've gone into the song list editor, which I'm going to show you here in just a little bit, and I'm going to, you can make some changes there. But here is where you're going to see the list of it. And so you've got Rihanna here at the top, and she's got, a rest of 1 hour and 31 minutes. I've got Justin Timberlake here as the second song, and he's got 7 days, 6 hours, and 48 minutes. So that's why that's a little bit different. And so I'm going to cancel out of here and show this to you again. So if I wanted to drag this song list over, I'm clicking and dragging it, and I'm dropping it there. And then MusicMaster brings up my song list. And then I can go ahead and just double-click, or I can choose F9, or I can choose my green check mark here, and schedule that song. So that's dragging a saved list from the info bar to the schedule editor. Queries exist over here as well in the info bar. And so I can click this and find some queries that I've made. And if you join me in the library maintenance session a couple of weeks ago, then you saw me make a Beyonce search here. And so I've got a few Beyonce records in. So if I wanted to pull this query over, then I could just click and drag. We'll drag it underneath Justin Timberlake and drop it. Now what this is going to do is it's going to bring up my replacement grid, and it's going to bring up my Beyonce records, of course. And of course I've got some song rest over here that's a little strange. And the reason that I've got that is because this is the way that I perform the query. I asked to go and find Beyonce, but I also asked to go and put all the titles in alphabetical order, and I wanted them in descending form. So that's why I've got Naughty Girl here at the top and Baby Boy at the bottom. Okay? So I can just choose this record and hit F9 or double click or choose my green check mark and schedule that song as well. And if I added more Beyonce songs into my library, they would also appear in my queries. All right, so this could change if I add more catalog from that artist. But again, it's just clicking and dragging and dropping there. And so that's how you drag a saved query from the info bar to the schedule editor. So, once you're in here, I think you can move these songs around and maybe make some quarter-hour changes by dragging and dropping. And the way to do that is to click the blue pointer arrow field and just drag these songs around. For instance, if I wanted to swap these two songs, of course I could use the swap function, which is F5, or I could double-click on the blue pointer arrow. But in this case, I'm going to drag this down by clicking on the blue pointer arrow field and move that down to Miley Cyrus. And then I can click on Miley Cyrus and move that back up. So I've, in effect, changed the quarter-hour placement of those songs just by clicking and dragging. And you can do that with any element inside, any song element here inside the schedule editor. All right? So that's moving songs in and around the schedule editor when you're actually editing a log. Now, I know we talked about in previous sessions, especially with library maintenance and the schedule editor, I know we talked about making some layout changes. And so you can have as many layouts as you want, and I might have a different layout than my music director. And you can use the drag and drop function in there as well. And so you may have seen this before, but for us new users here today, I'll show you how I can use that. What you've got here on the left-hand side are the fields that are available to you that you're not looking at in your current layout. And in the middle here, you've got what are called selected fields. And this is actually the layout that I'm looking at. So I've got schedule airtime, I've got category, artist, and title. And if you'll look here, I've got schedule airtime, category, artist, and title, and so on. So this is actually my layout. And if I wanted to come over here on the left-hand side and find a field that I wanted to add to the layout, then I can select the field here and then drag this over, and you'll see that familiar red line. And I can put this where I want it to go and drop it. And so I've, in effect, changed the layout here. And we're not going to go over these other sections. We're just going to concentrate on the drag and drop feature here. But I've got gender between sound and ending. And now when I hit OK, I've got my new field in here, my gender field. And so that's how you can make a layout change using drag and drop inside the scheduler layout or the editor layout. And then obviously you'll have to save this. You'll have to save that layout, and it's this icon here, the Save Editor Layout. And you can save over a layout, or you can create a new one. And so that's how you use drag and drop for changing layouts inside the schedule editor. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about are packets. And of course, packeting songs, if you don't know, it's putting several songs, two or more, together to where they rotate as one song. And so if I go to Dataset, Library, and Packets, then I'm going to see a packet that I've created here in my packet editor. And so before the webinar today, I went and created a Justin Timberlake packet that appears in my E category, and these are all of the Justin Timberlake songs that I've got in this packet. And you can change the order of which these songs are considered when the packet comes up for consideration. It comes up to be scheduled. And so right now I've got Rock Your Body as the first song to be considered when the packet rotates. However, if I wanted it to be Summer Love, then I can come down here and choose the number. And then I can click and drag this up and change the order. I don't think you want to, click and drag here in the middle. And I'll see that we'll get a couple of calls about that where someone's trying to make this change here by clicking into the song itself. You want to click into the number here and drag up. Okay? And that's going to change the order there. I've got standard packet here chosen. I can choose a diggable packet and make some changes here. I can change my search depth up here to something like 3. And then I can choose the 3 songs that I want to be considered the first time this packet comes up for consideration by clicking and dragging and dropping. So now I've got Summer Love, Rock Your Body, and Sexy Back as the first 3 songs in my packet. And I think when you hit close, it's going to save that. It's going to ask you if you want to save the changes, and you can choose yes. And so that is dragging and dropping in packets to change the order of how they're going to be considered when that packet comes up to be scheduled again. Okay, so I know I'm saving the best for last early here, but or I'm bringing this up early, but this is something that I wanted to give time to talk about because my support manager Jill and I were talking about schedule order and how you can use drag and drop in that. And we were talking about the fact that this might be a lesser known tip that I think you're going to want to know today. In fact, we went as far as to say that we thought some brains might explode as soon as I tell you this. So we're going to talk about schedule order and how that pertains to adding new music or making changes, moving records around, and how that's going to affect potentially how your music schedules in the next scheduling session. And we're going to use the A category for that. So I'm going to come over here in my info bar, and I'm going to double-click on the A category. All right, so we've got Britney Spears here, and Chris Brown, and Madonna, and Mariah Carey, and Miley Cyrus. These are my 5 A's, and they're the ones that are going to schedule the most often. They're the most important songs that I've got currently in this scheduling database. This is not the schedule order. This is just the category order, the order of which the songs are appearing in the category. I can get to schedule order in 2 ways. I can go to Data Set, Schedule, and Schedule Order. Or I can right-click here on the category itself and choose Schedule Order. And that's what I'll do. And so I want you to make a note of the order of the songs in this screen, because this is the schedule order. This is the way these songs are going to schedule in the next set scheduling session. So if I went and automatically scheduled today, I'm going to get Madonna first. Even if I went in and put in some A's and scheduled those by hand, when I go to automatically schedule the rest of the A's, Madonna is going to be first. So make a note of that. Madonna, Mariah Carey, Miley Cyrus, Britney Spears, and Chris Brown. That's the order in which these songs are going to schedule right now. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to pretend that it's Tuesday and we've got an ad day. I'm going to move the song up from the B category, and I'm going to put it into the A category, and I'm going to take an A and move it down into B. And we're going to see the ramifications of this, and then you'll really learn how drag and drop is going to be really important and effective in your scheduling. So let's go choose a B first that we're going to add in. And I'm going to put this Rihanna song into the A category. So I'm just going to click and drag and drop that into my A's on the left-hand side of the info bar. And now I've changed Rihanna to an A. Now we're going to double-click here, and we're going to take Madonna out. She's going to be the artist that we're going to move into the current category. And so I'm going to click and drag Madonna into my Bs. And so now I'm going to go back to my A's and just look at the 5 A's I've got. So look, now we've got Rihanna at the top, and we've got Britney Spears and Chris Brown and Mariah Carey and Miley Cyrus. And but this is just our category order. It's not our schedule order. So I'm going to right-click here in my info bar on my category and choose Schedule Order. Aha! Now we have a problem because I've got Mariah Carey here at the top. Well, it was Madonna earlier, and now everything is taken a step up because I've taken Madonna out of the schedule order. I've put her in another category. Now my scheduling order has completely changed for this category. And what happens if you schedule a day and you've got maybe a day offset window, or you've got an auto kick rule, or you've got some sort of rule that's governing the A's, and all of a sudden you've moved Mariah Carey up into the next position that's going to schedule? Well, that could cause some unscheduled positions. That could cause some real problems the next time you go and schedule a day. You might have a lot of unscheduled A's. And so you really want to put Rihanna in the place where Madonna was located in the scheduling order, because she's taking Madonna's place, essentially, in the category. And so to do that, you're going to click the number here on the left-hand side, which is the position in which this is going to be considered. You're going to move it up. Now I've got something that was very similar to the schedule order I had prior to making this category move. I've got Rihanna taking the place of Madonna. So she's going to be scheduling now in Madonna's spot when I go to automatically schedule. But I had to move that up into the first position. Otherwise, I would have had Mariah Carey there, and I would have scheduled, and potentially MusicMaster could have looked at yesterday and seen that Mariah Carey played in the same hour, or I've just got some funky rotations. And so moving Rihanna up in the schedule order fixes that, so I don't have that problem. In fact, you might say, you might have seen issues where you've done this yourself, where you didn't make this move, and then you went and scheduled, and all of a sudden your A's were acting funny. You got some unscheduled positions the first couple of days, and then magically it recorrected itself somehow, and you never knew why. And this is why. It's because it's very important and critical that you come in here excuse me, and move these songs around so that you've got correct scheduling order. And so that's what we've done with Rihanna. And I will take a couple of seconds here to let you soak that in, some of you who've been scheduling with MusicMaster and have not been doing this, and have just realized why you're getting some of those issues when you make these changes to these current categories. So yeah, something that we talked about that we thought, this is really something that we'd like to cover with the drag and drop session, because I just felt like a lot of our clients and power users might have really gotten something out of this tip. You can do the same thing with larger categories by choosing the category here, and I'll choose E, and we'll talk about some reasons why you might use drag and drop here. I might add several songs from the same artist, and I might find them all the way down here. And so you can come here throughout the category and make some changes to the scheduling order by clicking one of these songs and clicking the number and moving that up and throughout the category. And so that's a way of moving songs throughout the category and changing the order with larger categories. Certainly, you can come in here and optimize the category. You can optimize by field, for instance, and disperse your artists throughout the category that way. But you can also come in here and drag and drop and change the order of things by clicking on this number and moving these songs in and around the category. So scheduling order, very important, and something that I'm happy to bring you today and show you, because it can really cause some problems if you don't move these songs around, and especially with these things like A's and B's. When you're making moves like that throughout these current categories, and you're making replacement songs and swapping songs out, and you want to put those songs that you've swapped into the order in which they need to be, so that you don't have problems with rules when you go and schedule. So popular question that we're getting now, and I'm glad that we could show you that today. When you're done making a change in the schedule order, you'll choose the Save button, and that will save what you've done. It'll save your work, and you can close, and then the next time you schedule, you'll probably see some better results. Okay? So schedule properties. We're dealing with pass orders when we deal with schedule properties and things like search depth and things like that. So as far as dragging and dropping goes in schedule properties, there's a couple of ways to get to it. First of all, we can go to Data Set, Schedule, and Schedule Properties. Or I could right-click here on a category and choose Schedule Properties. And so that brings up my Schedule Properties screen. So I've got my pass order here, and this is how my categories are going to schedule. My A schedule first, my B schedule second, and so on. And you can move these around by clicking and dragging. And I just clicked, and I clicked the blue pointer arrow field, and I just moved that up or down and changed my pass order. I think Joe and I were talking one day about merging pass orders and how that's helpful for some secondary and tertiary categories to schedule some artists that they might be sharing with more current categories. And he recommended, in certain cases, merging pass orders so that you've got, secondary and tertiary categories scheduling at the same time. So if I had a George Strait song in my Fs, and then I had several other George Strait songs in my Gs, and then I scheduled my Fs before my Gs, well, it might be difficult sometimes to schedule those George Strait Gs because my Fs have already scheduled. And one way to alleviate that issue, or to make it a little better for those songs to schedule, is by merging your pass orders. So if I wanted to merge Es and Ds here, then I can choose the blue pointer arrow for E, and I'm going to hold the Shift key down on my keyboard. And I'm going to click and drag above D and then let go. I'm dragging and dropping there. And so you'll see that my pass order's changed now. I've got two categories inside pass order 4. And so on the fourth pass order there, my Es and Ds will schedule. And you can move these categories out of merged pass orders by just clicking on one of these and dragging it down. And now I've got my Es scheduling in the 5th pass order. So that is how you change the pass order in schedule properties by dragging and dropping. And merging pass orders too. So I'm going to hit cancel here and move into library maintenance. A couple places in library maintenance that you can use drag and drop. One of the things that I want to show you is a quick layout change. You've got these header bars here at the top, these what we call headers that are showing the label of the field. And I might want to move artist keyword over close to category. And so it's pretty quick. You just click and drag that over, and you'll see that line that you've got on the screen. When I drop that, artist keywords now appears before artist. And you can change that back by dragging and dropping. So that's a quick way of making a layout change with fields that you've already got in your layout. Once you've made that change, then you can go and save the layout, and it'll appear that way the next time you come in to MusicMaster and do any sort of library maintenance. Dragging songs from the library editor to the info bar is changing categories or adding them to saved lists. And you saw that a few minutes ago when I was moving these songs around. If I wanted to move Britney Spears over to B, I'm just clicking on the blue pointer arrow, and I am dragging over to the B category. And you'll see that the B category bolts out a little bit, and I've got my music note there, and I can just drop that. And we've gone over that, but that is how you move songs from category to category using the drag and drop function. I think it's the easiest way to move songs in MusicMaster. It's just to click and drag that. And so you can move multiple songs at one time if you want to. We can go to our recurrent category here, And I can choose several songs to move at once by clicking the blue pointer arrow field for Jordan Sparks. Got that nice blue highlights all the way across the song. And I can go down to Fergie and choose the Shift key and click into the blue pointer arrow field for that. Now I've got 4 songs highlighted. And you know you've done it correctly when you've got every song blued out. And then I can click on the blue pointer arrow field and move that into another category like E, and now I've changed several songs at once using the drag and drop feature. And I've moved those into the E category. So that's how to drag and drop multiple songs. Now I've got some song lists here on the left-hand side, a couple of them actually, and I can, move songs into a saved list fairly quickly just by dragging and dropping. Now, I'm not really editing the lists. I'm not controlling the order right away. I'll have to go to the song list editor for that, and we will. But I can add songs to the saved list inside library maintenance. So I've got these love songs here, and this Avril Lavigne song is sort of a love song. And so if I wanted to add her in, I'm just going to click and drag into my saved list. And you'll see it goes bold, and I've got that familiar music note there, and I can drop it. Nothing really happens. It just drops in. In fact, it stays in the category. It stays in my library maintenance screen. I've just added it to that song list. I can do the same thing with Elliot here and move him in. And then if I double-clicked on my song list, there are my new songs. And they're down at the bottom because that's the order in which I added them. And now I can go into my song list through the song list editor, and I can make some order changes there. Before we go to that, I want to show you how to change the order of categories. I'm going to go to my categories here, and I've got A's, B's, C's, D's, and E's. That's the order. And sometimes when you get a conversion back, you've got them in alphabetical order, and you might want to make a change because you've got some more important categories that you'd like to have here at the top because that's where you spend most of your time. And if you want to make a change to the order of the categories, you can. You're just going to go to Data Set, Library, and Categories. Now I've got my category editor here, and I can make a change to the order. So if I wanted to put D's above my night currents, then I can just click the blue pointer arrow field and move that. And now I've got A, B, D, C, E, J. And when I hit OK, that's going to change the order over here on the left-hand side. And we get a couple of calls about this because people will call and ask about how to change the order of their categories over here on the left-hand side. And that's how you do it. Data Set, Library, Categories. And then choose the category that you want to move and drag it and drop it. And when you hit OK, then that's reflected over here on the left-hand side in the info bar. So I'm going to go back over to song lists here and double back. We're going to go to Data Set, Library, and Song List Editor. That's how you get to the song list editor. And when I click on that, then here's my editor. I'm going to choose the icon here in the middle. I'm going to go and load a song list, in this case my love songs, and hit OK. And I've got a few songs in here. And to change the order in here, it's very similar to changing the order in package you've got, or schedule order. You've got the number here, and you can click on the blue pointer arrow field and move these songs around. And so I can sort of disperse these throughout my saved list this way. As a side note, I think we want to point out that this blue highlighted bar here on position 1 is telling me that the next time I automatically schedule this saved list, it's going to bring up Rihanna. It's going to schedule her. But I can set that. If I wanted it to start with Avril Lavigne, I can go down to Avril and choose my icon here and set the pointer to begin at position 4. So just something to let you be aware of is that if you're going to move these around, be mindful of where your pointer arrow is. And so that's how you move these songs throughout the saved list. It's just clicking and dragging those. Once you're done, you're going to need to save the list. in order for your changes to be reflected when you open up the song list in the schedule editor or in library maintenance or wherever you end up accessing them. And so just click that and highlight what you've got and hit OK to save that list. And so that's how you drag songs around within a saved list in the song list editor. So we're going to close the song list editor, and we're going to go back to the A category here. And we're going to look at Britney Spears. Well, she's just begun a tour here, and I want to add in a couple of trivia lines to this record. And so for Break the Ice, I'm going to add a trivia line in here that says that she is on her circus tour today. And then I can give this a date if I want to, and make some setting changes here. And then I can say that her shows are sold out. And so if I wanted to, control the way my trivia lines were going to rotate through the log, this one might be more important to me. And so I will choose the blue pointer arrow field and move that up. I've got these two rotating. And that's important because if one of them was fixed, then it would rotate into a fixed trivia line, which Paul will likely show you in the printed log design today. But I've got these two rotating, and so they're going to trade off every time this song schedules. And so I can control which trivia line gets printed first by moving that around. Okay, so that's how you make changes in trivia, by clicking and dragging the blue pointer arrow field and moving the trivia lines up or down to change the order. Once you're done, you'll need to hit save. Now I've got my green icon here that's showing me that I've got trivia, and I know which one's going to print next. And finally, in library maintenance, I'd like to show you dragging and dropping when you are creating day parts. Day parting, when you're new to it and you get into the day part screen, might be a little bit confusing, but it's really easy once you grasp it. If we wanted to day part Britney Spears and disallow her from playing in the overnights, I can come to my day parting field and choose my box here and get to my day part restrictions. Of course, I can choose the drop-down box and go and find some day part restrictions that I've already created and assign that right away to the song, or I can create a new one. And that's when drag and drop becomes important, because you can block out sections of your days and hours. And so if I wanted to disallow her from playing in the overnights, then I could, and let's in fact get that to 5. Then I can click and drag from Sunday at midnight all the way over to 5 a.m. and then down towards Saturday. And I've got this nice blued out block here where I can add a restriction. And then I can right click here and choose restrict play. And so basically what I'm saying is this day part affects overnights. Songs that have this day part cannot play in the overnights. And so I clicked and drag and dropped to block out that time frame. And now I can choose save and call this no overnights and hit OK. And when I hit apply, now I've applied the day part. So that's how you use drag and drop to create day parts. And so that's it for library maintenance. I want to move over to clocks because I think drag and drop is best served in clocks, really, in many ways. It's really quick to create clocks this way, using drag and drop. And so I'm going to choose new here. I'm going to create a new clock. And I'll call this test clock. And then I'll hit OK. And that's going to take me to this blank clock here. So certainly you can come in here and use the element type column and tell MusicMaster what kind of element you want to include as the first position. You know, I think the most common elements are going to be the fixed position and the log note. I think fixed position is probably the most common. And a fixed position is just saying anytime this clock rotates, in this position, this category is going to schedule. A song from this category is going to be included in the log. And so you can quickly edit clocks using the info bar. And if I knew that I wanted to start out with an A in my clock, then I can click and drag. And I'm looking for that box, that red box, that red outlined box. And when I drop this, then I've got a fixed position that's an A. And I can do that for any of these categories. Just click and drag into there. And once you get good at it, you can get pretty quick and begin to create clocks very efficiently. I can also move in jingles after I've put in some of these categories. I can move jingles in. And I'm looking for that single line there. And then that icon there that's the large music note with the red lines just telling me that that's what I'm going to drop in there as a non-music item. And so I can drop that, and then I've got a jingle as my second element in the clock. So pretty easy to drag and drop those over and to begin populating clocks. You might actually just say, look, I know I've got 3 golds that I want to put into this hour. And so you can move 1 gold in by dragging and dropping. And then you can clone golds and say, okay, well now I've got my 3 golds. And now you can use the drag and drop feature to drag songs, or drag categories rather, inside the clock, throughout the clock, just by clicking on the blue pointer arrow field and moving those categories throughout the clock. So if you know you've got 2 A's that you want to schedule, or 1 A that you want to schedule for the hour, then you can move that in. If you know you've got 2 or 3 B's, you can move those 3 B's in, and so on down the list. And so you've gotten your category count, and then you can move those around and start playing around with quarter hours and things. And that's how you do that. You just kind of drop these in, and then move them around. All right. So that's moving elements within a clock and dragging categories to a clock from the info bar. Another thing that you can do with drag and drop and clocks is you can force elements into clocks. And so I'm going to minimize my clocks here and close my schedule editor. And I'm going to open up my A category. Let's open up our E's. And forced positions inside MusicMaster are going to force something specific. A good example might be a song that you play at 5 o'clock every day for your disk drive or for your 5 o'clock drive home. Might be a weather bed that you use specifically for your afternoon jog. When I did mornings in Kansas City and programmed a station there, we played Cake, Stick Shifts and Safety Belts at 5 o'clock every day for my my listeners that were driving home. And so, to choose a song from library maintenance and to add it into a clock is essentially forcing it in. And so if I wanted to move in Good Life from Kanye West and make that my 5 o'clock drive home, and it was the first song after my legal ID, then I can click on the blue pointer arrow field and move that up and drop that in. I'm looking for that single line there. I don't want to change my A. I want to put it above the A. Now I've got this automatically forced element. Didn't have to search for the song ID. Didn't have to do anything but drag and drop from library maintenance into my clock. Now I've got this forced song lickety-split. Quick as can be. And so dragging these specific songs into these clocks is going to create these forced elements. So again, great for songs that you're going to schedule at certain times out of the day. Great for contests where you're listening to for a specific song, that you play every day. and great for weather beds when you want to add those into clocks that are specifically timed weather beds, for instance, for your afternoon jog. So that's how forcing those in can be helpful and save you some time. All right, so I want to look at assignment grids here just to show you what you're going to be dealing with when you're looking at those as far as drag and drop goes. Very similar to day parting. I'm just showing this so that you'll understand that you can block these out en masse and make changes, and you won't have to do each of these by hand. We're going to go to my standard assignment grid, which is my active grid, and choose Edit. And here's my grid. So if I wanted to change every single one of these clocks for the entire day and make it my AA clock, it's real quick. I can just click and drag all the way over to the 11 o'clock hour and all the way down to Saturday. And now I've highlighted 24 hours and 7 days out of the week. And I can go up here and choose my drop-down box and choose my night clock, or maybe my new test clock, and make a change that way. So if you've been clicking in here and typing in the clock code, you don't have to do that. You can just block out these sections, kind of like what we did in day parting, and then use the drop-down box to make those changes. And then you can save that. So I've got about 10 more minutes for a couple things, and I'm going to close my assignment grids. And I wanted to go in, and the last thing I wanted to show you in clocks was the format scheduler. It's a section that we get calls about. I think it's one of the neater things about MusicMaster. It's a sort of a set it and forget it type of section. I think best example would be, I'm a current-based radio station, but I've got a baseball game during the season for my high school, and so we broadcast a couple of those games. Not all of them, though. We don't broadcast every one of them, so I don't have a set clock, every Saturday, for instance. On one Saturday, I might have regular programming. On the next Saturday, I might have the baseball game. And so you can choose the day, and on the right-hand side, you can go and say, well, I know that on the 14th at 6 o'clock, we've got that baseball game, and so I want to put my baseball clock in there. And it's sort of a set it and forget it type of thing. You don't have to constantly go in and set your assignment grids, for when you've got these special programs. You can come in and schedule these clocks and then save that, and then MusicMaster will automatically schedule those for you. As far as drag and dropping goes, you can have alternating assignment grids. And so I've got my standard grid here. I've also got another grid that I like to use, my fixed grid. Now I've got two grids in here. So my standard is going to rotate one week, and then my fixed is going to rotate the other week. But if I wanted to put my fixed on top, then I can click and drag that. Now my fixed is going to be my first grid, and my standard will be my second grid. Okay, so that's dragging and dropping within the format scheduler. Once you're done, you'll hit save. And now this is how it's going to rotate for me. So that's dragging and dropping in clocks, and we've got about 5 or 6 more minutes to go over rules. And if you joined us on our rule tree webinar last week, I think you got a lot out of it, especially with the scheduling goals and things like that. And so we'll just kind of cover some drag and drop stuff in here. And for those of you who are new to the software, you'll sort of get an idea of how to edit your rule tree. On the left-hand side, you've got what is essentially the MusicMaster rule tree. You've got the All Categories folder, and then you've got your category folders. When you click these plus signs in here, you bring up other folders, unbreakable and breakable folders, and in the categories, you've got optimum goal scheduling, which is where your scheduling goals reside. On the right-hand side, you've got your available rule types, which are the rules that are available to you that you can put into the rule tree. In this case, I'm going to add a rule from the Song History Rules folder, and I'm going to add it to my A category, and it's the day offset window. I know that exists in hour rotation rules, so I'm going to hit the plus sign, and there's my day offset window rule. Now I can click that and drag that into the unbreakable folder, and when I drop it, the rules properties box comes up, and I can set my properties here and then hit OK. And that's how you apply a rule to the rule tree using the drag and drop function. And I might say, yeah, you know what, I really don't want this in my unbreakable folder. I'd really like this to be a breakable rule, so I'm going to click and drag this into my breakable folder. That's how drag and drop can be used. I can bring optimum scheduling goals over here by accessing the optimum goal scheduling folder and finding the scheduling goal I want to use and dragging that into the optimum goal scheduling folder and dropping that. I also might say that my optimum keyword rest artist keyword goal is in the wrong spot. It's really more important. And the order of your rules and scheduling goals is important. And so I can put this up here by clicking and dragging. I'm looking for that single red line. So if I wanted to put it underneath song rest, then I can drop it there. And that's how you make that change. So real simple on dragging and dropping inside rules. I might say also that I've decided that in my A category I don't even want this day offset window rule in here. And I can just click and drag that to another folder in another category entirely. So that's dragging and dropping inside rules. Once you're done, you'll hit save, and now you've got a brand new rule tree. So I hope you got a lot out of the webinar today with drag and drop. I hope that scheduling order tip was helpful for you. If you have any questions on that, please don't hesitate to call your music scheduling consultant or me if I'm your consultant. I'd be glad to help you and explain that to you. Paul is going to have a great webinar on the printed log design, which I think is one of the sort of lesser viewed things when you're dealing with new scheduling software. And he's going to give you a tutorial on really making some nice printed log designs. I think we're all pretty excited about Paul's session today because he knows a lot about that section, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. So with that, I'm going to hand you back to Mark. Appreciate it.